Welcome to virtual Japan as we are here today for round number 6.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona and away go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Doms, possibly a little bit of contact.
Up now as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
Smooth stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, just insane.
They are ready to go. The lights are out and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the YesterYear Racing Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League. We're out on track at Daytona International Speedway, one of our highlight events with live broadcasting. Speaking of, my name is James Eastwood, Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, bringing the action to 1080p with a packed field here tonight. Looks like about 40 some odd drivers are making their way out to the high banks under the lights at Daytona. And looking forward to some more great action here at the OBRL. We've got Pacman CT join us in the spectator area. We've got Jeremy Mayo join us as well. And it looks like that's going to wrap qualifying up. And we're going to get ready for today's main event. See if we can get eyes on these drivers and then run it through the starting order here today. On pole, it's Roger Hurley, the number 77. Brian Lindsay starting second. Wayne Hufford starting third. Jerry Isaacs starting fourth. Josh Robinson starting fifth. Mark Fish starting sixth. Michael Dow starting seventh. William Martin starting eighth. We've got Lonnie Corey starting 9th, Tom Massey starting 10th, James Waldo starts 11th, Jack Yeagerman starting 12th, cycled on back, Sean Folt starting 13th, Brian Lynch starting 14th, Tom Mr. White Claw Ogle starting 15th, Brian Glass starting 16th, Jeff Lydon starting 17th, Dan Trashcan Hill starting 18th, Gavin Adams starting 19th, Eric McCluskey starting 20th, Dakota Grandpa Pischke starting 21st, Lee Warsdale starting 22nd, Greg McDaniel starting 23rd, Kevin Strandberg starting 24th, cycled on back one more time, Michael Titanium Everhart starting 25th, Dale Copeland starting 26th, Larry Corey starting 27th, Greg Hammond starts 28th, Dustin Martinson starting 29th, Patrick Martindale starting 30th, we've got Mr. Victor Lane starting 31st, Alan Wanamaker starting 32nd, Andy Thomas starts 33rd, Clay Walker starting 34th, John Paris starts 35th, Al Turner starting 36th, and we'll cycle it back one final time, Andrew Jones starting 37th, John Hastings starting 38th, Dean Gear coming out of retirement starting 39th, Bob Fellenbaum starting 40th, and Robert Pineapple Smooth Criminal Garisco will round out the 41-car grid here at Daytona. Already seen some spectators joining the show, but let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on. Drivers will frequently have the broadcast pulled up on a separate monitor or device, and for this big event, I can guarantee you most of the field's going to be going back and watching this thing over again. And they will definitely notice and appreciate the fans out there. We're lined up behind that iRacing safety car. Looks like all 41 drivers were able to take the grid, so just 2 cars short of an absolute packed grid here tonight. Here we go, getting ready for that iRacing safety car to come down pit road. And we'll fire off today's 90-lap feature event, the YesterYear Racing Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League. Green flag is out, away we go. Now you're going to see a few different strategies here tonight at the Super Speedway. Some drivers going to be trying to get out front early, leave the shenanigans behind them. Other drivers, I would imagine, are going to hang back, let the field sort itself out, and try and keep their cars out of danger, as there are no fast repairs here at the OBRL, no get-out-of-jail-free cards. As Roger Hurley, number 77 Toyota, started on pole, continues to hold it there, and he's got Wayne Hufford and Josh Robinson tucked in right in tow. I also see Jerry Isaacs, number 51, fourth in line, the inside lane. Go a little bit further back, Sean Foltz, the number 95 machine. Oh, I heard somebody dragging the wall, couldn't quite see where it was. Foltz holding on to 13, Tom Massey, number 62, holding on to a top 10 spot. Right ahead, that's Jerry Isaacs, Brian Lindsay side by side for the fourth place position. Isaacs on the inside line, the number 51, Lindsay up high, the number 24, Lindsay has Mark Fish, the baby blue and black number 42 Toyota in tow. It's interesting, Kevin Strandberg back in 25th. Just clicked off the fastest lap of the race, a 45.96. Really able to work that draft of the massive field of drivers right ahead of him, pushing a whole lot of air out of the way. There's Tom Massey, Lonnie Corey side by side for 9th. Corey holding on to a top 10 as we've got a little bit of a connection issue there. I don't think that's on the broadcast side. I'm not seeing any red lights. That might be on the iRacing side. Hopefully not. Yeah, I'm not seeing any dropped frames here in the broadcast. I am hoping that the drivers on track aren't having any issues with that. Hopefully it's just up here in the booth. I'm going to check some stuff up here in the booth, make sure we don't have anything on fire, so to speak. Looks like all systems are go up here in the broadcast booth. And we'll keep rocking and rolling with these drivers going forward here. Roger Hurley still out front. Wayne Hufford staying tucked in behind, not wanting to get off that inside groove. Josh Robinson staying in line. I'm trying to see. That's going to be that's number 24, Brian Lindsay, staying committed to the high side. Fish, the 42, hinted at going 3 wide there. Opts to stay tucked in behind Lindsay, though, as the top 4 has just the slightest of drafts. Lindsay's going to hop back down in the bottom groove, leaving Mark Fish to lead the high side here at Daytona. going to be for these drivers here tonight. Since we're now running a limited broadcast schedule, I haven't been able to stay quite in touch with the ins and outs here at the OBRL. Do know of Josh Robinson on a 3-run winning streak here currently, as he's still our points leader by a large margin. Tom Ogle sitting second in points, Dan Hill third in points, and you got Jerry Isaacs and Brian Lynch rounding out the top 5. Robinson holding on to that third place spot here. Now we also have seen there's kind of a big split in the pack here. We pan back to Al Turner, number 76, ranked 34th. He's a little bit over a second back from the rest of the field here. They're starting to close that gap, but I wonder if that's some of the drivers we were imagining are predicting at least one big crash here tonight and just want to keep their noses clean till the end of this thing. If you get any damage on a super speedway track early on, you're in for a long night. And look at the charge here from William Martin, outing the number 94 Ford Mustang, trying to get a peek at that livery. It almost looks like a Mountain Dew-esque paint scheme. But Martin with Tom Massey tucked in behind, working the outside line, is going to get a credit for a lap led here. Hurley still staying committed to the inside group. Side by side we go for the race lead. I think that may be a Diet Mountain Dew sponsor 94. A terrible choice of drink, but Martin is making it happen as he has climbed 7 spots so far. Now your top 5, and it's going to be back and forth here. It's Martin, Hurley, Massey, Hufford, and Jaegerman making up the top 5. Looks like Greg Hammond potting the number 88 Chevrolet. He's up 11 spots so far tonight's hard charger. Martin still making it work though, with the support of Tom Massey in the 62. Jack Yeagerman's also up on the high side there in the number 27. I believe I spot Brian Glass in the 87 as well. Two very distinct groups going on now. I'm very hopeful we will get to see some green flag stops here tonight. Nothing more beautiful than watching 20 to 30 cars all barreling down pit road together. Everybody knows the tail and the bout. I think it's going to be about the top 15 or so. Really the top 20 in one large pack here. Looks like Martin's going to fall back a little bit in the 94. As Martin and Massey going to try and build back up some steam. Roger Hurley has taken back over the race lead and has built up quite a bit of room here. As William Martin has fallen back to the 6th place position. About 4/10 of a second back from Hurley, your race leader. But on these super speedway events, it's all about just kind of staying in a good track position until the end of this thing. Hard charger now as it stands. It's going to be a few different drivers. No, it's actually going to still be Greg Hammond, who is up about 6 positions. It's kind of swapping all over the place. Dale Copeland, number 55, he's showing up 7 spots, 8 spots. So that's going to make him, I'll definitely say temporarily, our hard charger of the night. There's Tom Ogle in the White Claw back, number 11. Ogle's down 2 spots from where he qualified, currently running about the 18th place position. Checking back in up front, it's still the Roger Hurley show. Wayne Hufford staying glued to the back bumper of that 77. There's Josh Robinson, number 23, third in line. You've also got Jerry Isaacs, Brian Lindsay, all also on the inside line. Nose to tail here. And it's going to be Eric McCluskey, the number 96. Sets the fastest lap of the race. 45.93 for that number 96 Chevrolet. As William Martin has made the top line work once more, has pulled up alongside Hurley to once again challenge for the race lead here. Greg Hammond, the number 88, now showing up 15 positions from where he originally qualified. 16 laps into this feature, and we're starting to see some moves being made. Martin and Amasi had briefly had about 2 cars pulled up ahead of Roger Hurley. But now Amasi's going to be up on the high side, number 62. He's going to have to push the air as Roger Hurley has dropped down behind. Oh, I thought Martin had dropped in behind ahead of Hurley, but then goes back to the high side to pick up Amasi. Starting to see some mid-race alliances being made here. And the big question tonight for the fans is, are we going to see a huge pile up? As I said that, I just saw a few drivers going off track. And we are going to have a caution coming out. I don't see that much carnage, though. We got that going for us, which is nice. We're focused in on Victor Lane's number 10. There's the 89 tied up in that one. Oh, a big, massive link there. James Waldo is going to have pretty significant damage. Let's get a replay queued up pointing at Waldo's 89 machine. Lane and Waldo bounce around the track. The rest of the field gets wound up pretty good. I see somebody with a flapping... Oh, my goodness. Quite tell who's that, where that was. Was that cool? think it was in the 279. Couldn't see where he was going, so real no fault there as the pretty difficult to drive through the hood of that car. Makes it work though, and eventually the hood falls back down. So that's going to be our first caution of the night here. And everybody's going to come down pit road. Like Brian Lynch, Josh Robinson, Dan Hill, and Mark Fish all opting to stay out here, valuing the track position more so than the extra fuel they'd be putting in these race machines. It'll be interesting to see how that call works out for them. Get him lined back up, double file here at Daytona. All right, here we go. We're fully gridded up, ready to get things started once more. We are 20 laps into this feature event. Green flag is out. We are back underway at the YesterYear Cup Series here at the Old Masters Racing League. And who's out front? It's Josh Robinson's number 23 machine. Lynch and Robinson going side by side for the race lead. Your top 4 drivers have not come down pit road. You've also got Greg Hammond in 6th, Patrick Martindale in 15th, all opted to stay out. Now James Waldo, Bonnie Corey extended stays down pit road. And there's Dan Trashcan Hill, the number 7, pushing from behind. Robinson out front, your current points leader. Now everybody calls it the draft lottery here in Daytona. Sometimes things go terribly wrong, and there's nothing you can do, but historically, that top spot, one of the safest positions you can be in at a super speedway. But Robinson's got to be happy where he's at, but Greg Hammond, number 88, he opted to stay out, is now up 27 positions as he takes over the race lead very briefly. And now Tom Massey's going to fire back. Interesting parts about cautions. It restacks the fields, get things a little bit more exciting than the drivers were expecting. But right now, drivers showing that they're some of the best in the business. Tom Massey, William Martin have been working together so far tonight, and it's been going well for the two. As their first and second, Greg Hammond in third, Brian Lindsay, Josh Robinson rounding out the top 5. Just about all of the field in this pack here, so everybody running nose to tail, 2 lines wide. Historically, it's not uncommon to see drivers stay 2 wide instead of 3 until the late stages of one of these main events. Everybody wants to get to the checkered flag one way or the other, so they don't want to throw it away early. All right, there's a little bit of a divvy in the pack here. That's Alan Wanamaker leading the second pack. That is going to be 25th through 38th, all in a bit of a gaggle, I think is how I would describe that one. Ryan Lindsay's going to take over the race lead here in the number 24. He's got Greg Hammond, Tom Massey also in the fray, only 25 laps into this feature. And we've had one pretty okay crash so far, nothing crazy. Massey down low. I also spot Greg McDaniel, the Cartoon Network back number 1 up on the high side. Ryan Glass, the number 87, he's also here. Lindsay down low in the inside line. McDaniel follows. Tom Massey moved back to 3rd. He's also on the inside line. Up here. machine leading the charge up on the high side. We try and get a camera pointed at him. There we go. You've got the number 2 of Clay Walker up there as well. As well as the 71, Michael Titanium Everhart. Now I'm seeing a lot of green lap times from these drivers. A lot of drivers just set their personal best so far in this event. Martindale, Glass side by side here for 5th. Martindale up 24 spots. Glass is up 11. Clay Walker right behind the number 2. He's showing 28 positions gained so far tonight. As look at these top drivers breaking away. William Martin at the back end, running 4th in the 94. They pulled about a 6/10 of a second gap over the rest of the field here, so that's pretty impressive. Ryan Glass, Clay Walker starting to pull up. There's Kevin Strandberg, the number 68. Haven't talked about him in a little while, but at the front of the line, about 8/10 back from the lead pack. I think that's about the top 8 all coming together. Yes, it is. Al Turner in 9th. He's about a half second off this pack, but I think he's going to close the gap rather quickly. Ryan Glass sitting in 5th, number 87, just set the fastest lap of the race of 45.75. The driver's still able to find some time here. Lindsay enjoying the clean air on the nose, then number 24, as Greg McDaniel and the number 1 continuing to push the current leader, helping to keep that momentum up. We saw the top 4 able to get a little bit of a breakaway just a few laps prior, so they're going to try it again here. Closer and closer to the final lap here at Daytona. A sure bet is that drivers are going to rather be battling against 1 or 2 of each other rather than having about 30 drivers all with a shot of a win here. But as I say that, the field's starting to pull back together here. You've got 1st or 24th all in this lead pack. Ryan Lindsay, Greg McDaniel still working together, but we have a caution out on the track. Where was it? Looks like it may have something to do with Alan Wanamaker. Might have been involved in the replay queued up here. Wanamaker and that number 74. Oh, and that was the 39 I saw careening around, I think. Or was that Fellenbaum? But there is going to be some wadded up race cars. Oh, there's going to be quite a few, I think. The drivers involved in that one: Alan Wanamaker, Bob Fellenbaum, Larry Corey, Victor Lane, Jeff Lyden, Andy Thomas. Let's focus in here on Corey in the number 17 machine. Just nowhere to go, right in the meat grinder. And that will bring out the caution for the second time here this evening. And I would imagine we're going to see a lot of drivers come down pit road and top off on fuel here. Let's see what Lindsay does. He came down pit road on lap 18. Is he going to stay out? So interesting. Brian Lindsay, Greg McDaniel stay out, as well as Kevin Strandberg, Clay Walker, and Wayne Hufford. Tom Ogle's going to stay out, the number 11, Eric McCluskey, and the number 96, Jack Yeagerman, Gavin Adams, Robert Garisco, Dale Copeland, Dustin Martinson. All staying out as the rest of the field shuffles down pit road here. Second caution of the night, not quite to the halfway mark here tonight. And we're getting them lined back up side by side as far back as the eye can see here, Daytona, for the YesterYear Racing Cup Series. You see some of the rest of the field trying to catch up here to make the start on time. We got Victor Lane asking us if he can join us in the booth. Yes is the answer. So hopefully we get Victor up here rather shortly and he can join us in the shenanigans. Here we go, getting ready for our iRacing safety car to make its way back down pit road. And we are green flag racing once more, starting the 37th lap here. Brian Lindsay out front, and you've got Kevin Strandberg, Greg McDaniel, Wayne Hufford, and Clay Walker all up here in the fray. Lindsay, the number 24 machine, getting a good push there from Kevin Strandberg. Wayne Hufford sitting in third, in the exact same spot that he originally qualified in. And he has stayed glued to that inside line all night long. Now we got to report Lonnie Corey left out of pit road, going to rejoin the field here. So Victor Lane let us know that if his machine is not able to roll around the track too well, he might be joining us up here in the booth. That would be pretty okie dokie. As we watch Brian Lindsay still cruising up there, enjoying the clean air on the front of that number 24 machine. Kevin Strandberg, Wayne Hufford, Gavin Adams, Eric McCluskey all in the mix here. Now we're waiting to see Lane trying to get back out on track and see if he can salvage some points here this evening. As I also see Tom Ogle starting to get some forward momentum. The number 11 now up 7 spots from where he originally started. Up front, looks like I saw it briefly on live timing. Kevin Strandberg still giving some big pushes there to Lindsay, the number 24. Now Lane is back out on track, so we will very quickly know just how well that machine is running here. And there is a bit of a meat grinder going on just inside the top 10. Walker, Ogle, Garisco, Copeland, Martinson, all in this pack. Now I'm curious to see again what the I just think we had a question or an answer to our question. Victor Lane reported a crash, the number 10, followed by a quick tow. So Lane realized the car was not going to be salvageable, pulls over, and he is unfortunately going to be parked for the evening. Eric McCluskey, while that was happening, the 96 takes over the race lead here. McDaniel following in hot pursuit. McDaniel dropping down low to take her lead to the inside line. And it looks like we've got somebody sticking their head in the broadcast booth. Victor, welcome to the party, my friend.
How's it going, James? How are you doing in this broadcast? We've got 40 laps under our belt, but some of us didn't complete all of those 40.
Yeah, a bit of a rough night for you and several other drivers, I'm afraid, but super cool to have you up here. And we went ahead and pulled up a spare monitor for you so you can see the broadcast perspective. But Victor, I mean, it's Daytona, it's super speedway, and it's one of the premier events broadcasted live. Was it kind of expected to see some of the shenanigans out on track?
Well, yes and no. I thought everybody was racing pretty well. What's odd to me is the checkups that are being kind of noticed in the lower line. And that's what caused, to my knowledge, both accidents. I know for one, the first accident I was in was caused by a checkup, and we were getting checked up on the outside lane. And, I just ended up getting hit from behind, and no fault to the driver behind me. It's just how super speedway racing goes when you go from 200 to 185. I got caught up in that, but everybody's kind of racing decently. I don't see anything over aggressive or really just tactfully wrong out there. It's just tough.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how spot on from what I saw up here in the booth. We haven't seen any over aggressive moves or big hero moments, but as you said, when you're ripping around 200 miles an hour nose to tail, one little mistake, one little lapse of judgment, all it really takes to send a bunch of drivers home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're that close, I had a lot of fun in that first run I was in. I was running behind Greg McDaniel, who's really good at these kind of races, and so, he was following Clay Walker, and I was perfectly content to follow those guys in the top lane. We were making good time. I think I had gained 13 spots or something like that from the start of the race. So I was content to follow those guys. And, I'm the kind of racer, as we probably all are in this league. Last thing I wanted to do was take out Greg. So as soon as I saw the checkup, I kind of really slowed down to stay off his back bumper. And the further back you go, the guys can't see. It's just a product of this kind of racing. I'm not upset about it. I hope other guys aren't either. It's just kind of what you deal with.
Yep, one of those things. Now, Victor, I'm glad you're up here, even though it's due to a little bit of bad luck. But what is the fuel run for these drivers tonight? That's one thing we weren't able to figure out, because that kind of dictates, can drivers go the rest of the distance after lap 34 pit stop, or are we expecting one more round of stops here tonight?
They will not be able to go they will not be able to go the rest of the way off the lap 34 pit stop. Your average fuel run in the draft is about 43 laps. If you're out front like McCluskey and Walker right now, you're lucky to get 40 to 41. So in a 90 lap run, we're figuring maybe 75 to 76 would be their pit window if we're green till there. So yeah, there's going to have to be another fuel stop.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm hoping personally we're going to see a green flag pit stop at some point here tonight. We get to see the prowess, the driving ability of the OBRL guys week in and week out, but I am personally a huge fan to see the green flag pit stops and kind of see the strategy develop amongst these drivers. We know how they can wheel and deal, but some of these drivers have the race math down to an absolute science of when they need to pit, when they should stay on a little bit longer, and kind of know when to gamble a little bit and when to play it safe.
I really think that my teammate Wayne Hufford has those things a lot of times really well figured out. Got to give a shout out to Mayday in the chat here, because when Wayne streams his races, Mayday often crew chiefs for him, and they've got that stuff really well figured out. So I would look to what Wayne does as a pretty good indicator as to what some of the lead cars are going to want to do from a fuel strategy.
Yeah, and the fans pointed out very early on, saying, hey, I think Hubbard's going to stay glued to the yellow line on that bottom row, and he's going to stay there all night long, and that seems to be the case from their 75. And I think part of that is being one of the historic, a little bit safer line to run, but as you said, at no point have we seen that 75 push in his own air. He has always been in the draft, letting somebody else do the heavy lifting, moving the field, or moving the air out of the way with the rest of the field, and that can lead, as you said, just a few more laps of fuel save really adds up towards the end of one of these super speedway events.
Absolutely. If you can get those green flag runs the whole way to where you're pitting under green, that is a huge field separator, I should say, not fuel separator, field separator, because some guys are really good at that, first of all, and some guys aren't. And as you know, if you're not in the draft on this track, you're really losing time. So that fuel strategy, mapping that out, and hoping that you have guys come in and do that with you, whether it's a little early, a little on time, or even a little late, is important, because you certainly can't do it by yourself if you want to stay in that lead.
Now, speaking of doing it by yourself, Victor, that raises the question. You already touched on it. We're expecting one more stop here tonight. It's either going to be under caution or green. But if we go green, which is going to be a big if after the 2 early cautions, at what point do you think we're going to start seeing clusters of drivers come down pit road for that final fuel stop?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're coming to lap 50 right now, and that means from here you're getting pretty close to being able to make it the whole way, even if you're the lead car, like we talked about a minute ago, 40 to 41 laps. So from here, the window is technically open, but you're always going to be better off putting under caution at a super speedway. So I wouldn't anticipate, James, that we're going to see drivers come until at least 65 or later.
Yeah, it looks like the top 6 drivers currently, the last time they were down pit road was at that lap 18, that early caution. Roger Hurley in 7th. His last pit stop was the lap 34 mark. So that's a safe bet. Those top 6 drivers are going to be looking at the fuel gauges, talking to their crew chiefs, and trying to develop a strategy. And it looks to be, for the most part, definitely the field. Most of the field is already at 2 stops with that lap 34, but I'd say about 10 drivers total. Last pit stop was on lap 18, so that could be a pretty healthy group coming down pit road together, because you mentioned it, you don't want to be the guy on pit road all by yourself. If you lose that draft without a saving grace caution, your race is done, and you've got drivers like Clay Walker up 33 spots. They want to keep that momentum going, and Greg McDaniel's helping them do it with a big push from behind.
Wow, that's interesting information. Of course, I didn't know that, being in the race the first 30 laps. It's you're exactly right. It's going to be a bad situation for some of those drivers who are going to be forced to pit out of sequence, even if some of these guys want to run until lap 65 or 70. If there's drivers that the last time they were on pit road was lap 18, you know, they're going to max out at 58, so 57, 58, a little early here. And if there's only 10 of them and they don't even do that together, well, they're going to be all separated. So this is going to get real interesting if we stay green, because the track will separate out.
Yeah, so we're going to watch that timing tower at the top left-hand side of your screen, the YesterYear Racing OBRL Cup Series tower. You're keeping an eye out right now. Your looks like top 5 fuel window, we think, is going to close around lap 59 at the absolute latest. But you've got Walker out front. He's burning a little bit more fuel. Granted, he is our current hard charger, but I think his field's about to get pretty exciting pretty quickly. Jerry Isaacs, number 51, back in 12th, just clicked off a 45.73, so he's using that draft to his full advantage. And it looks like Victor, the top 14 or so all bunched up. And then a little bit of a second pack with Jack Yeagerman, the number 27, about 5 or 6 drivers behind him, I'd say. And Victor, you weren't here at the time, but we always talk about it at Super Speedway. It seems like some drivers are more content hanging back and saving the car, while some drivers are up there up front. Which position would you rather find yourself in?
I've been in... The chat will probably laugh, because I've been known to lay back a little bit and wait for things to happen. And over the last year or so, I've been more of a get up in the mix type of guy. The problem with this next-gen car, having 5 years at this track, is that you're qualifying pretty much in 4th gear the whole time, because it'll top out around 180. And only when you're in the draft, you need 5th gear. Now, why am I saying that now? Why is it important? Because the reason you're seeing a good driver like Jack Jagerman separated is not because he doesn't necessarily want to be up there. It's that when those guys shuffle around right there where like the 30 car and those guys are. If that breaks by about 0.8 of a second to about a second and a half, you cannot catch back up. It doesn't even matter if you have cars behind you, your draft is lost. And so I believe Jack's draft has been lost, but I'd rather be up there with Clay and Greg, knowing what I know now of these types of races, because you just can't catch back up in this car.
Yeah, we were looking at, while you were speaking, I looked at the trap speed. Jaggerman was about 10 miles per hour slower being outside of that top draft, and it looks like we do have a bunch of drivers down pit road. You got Robinson, Fish, Lynch, Ogle, Hammond, Hill, Copeland, all coming down pit road together here. Looks like majority of the drivers that last pit on lap 18 still out on track, so there's going to be, I think, 3 different strategies at play here, and not a ton of laps left to do anything with it. So I'm thinking these guys having to come down early in this smaller packs, they've surely got to be praying for a late race caution to keep their racing dreams alive here.
That's exactly right, and it's going to have to be a late race caution at this point, right? Because if the caution were to come out now, they're toast. Now, what's interesting about this track is what we've noticed with tire wear is that there is no tire strategy here at this track. You could gas it with a 90-lap race. You could gas it each time and never take tires, and you would still be mostly fine. So you're not going to see any variance in tire strategies here. There's no value to an undercut or an overcut or anything like that. So for these guys that just came in and pitted, they've got to have the rest of the cars go in for their green flag pits, or they're toast.
Now I'm looking at the pit stop times, my little data nerd eye in the sky. I did see a few drivers with anywhere between 12 to 14 second pit stops. Most of the drivers were around an 8-second pit stop. So to me, that says fuel only. So I guess, Victor, why would anybody take 4 tires here? Is there a good reason?
No. I hate to be the know-it-all type of guy, because that's really not me. I'm not even that good. But I think it's guys don't realize that they can, kind of not really have to change tires here. They're going by habit. You know what I mean, James? They're clicking those tires on, thinking we got to do that, when some of these guys that aren't changing them, my guess is a guy like an Ogle or a Copeland or them, they've turned Josh Robinson. They've probably turned those off, and because they knew better.
Yeah, I mean, that's 5-6 seconds saved behind the pit road, so that's massive here when drivers are so equally matched on pace. Up front looks like Roger Hurley on the high side, accompanied by Dean Gear coming out of retirement, taking over the top 2 spots. Looks like I also see Jerry Isaacs there, number 51. Very cool to see Dean Gear back out on track. I believe it's been 6 months or so since we've seen him here, and he's actually going to take over the race lead here, up 38 spots.
Good for Dean, getting that TV time up there, along with newbies Tommy Amacy and Eric McCluskey and Roger Hurley, although Roger's not so new anymore. He's got some good finishes and even a pole tonight under his belt. But Jerry Isaacs, he's a heck of a driver that's come to the OBRL this year. He's got a lot of success so far, so wouldn't surprise me at all to see Jerry Isaacs put that car in victory lane tonight.
We got more drivers down pit road. Brian Lindsay, Wayne Hufford, Gavin Adams, Greg McDaniel, Kevin Strandberg, Clay Walker, and Dustin Martinson down pit road for, I believe, they're going to be most of their second stops of the night. Martinson is on his 3rd, but Dean Gear staying out front. Roger Hurley up on the high side. Gear getting a push. And it looks like Gear's going to come down pit road here, being chased by Al Turner and McCluskey as well. So Hurley, I just heard somebody crash. Not quite sure where that was. I don't see anything in the broadcast software. So Hurley is going to be back up front here. Now his last pit stop was on lap 34. Looks like the only driver I see out on track with a lap 18 pit stop. Last stop was Jaggerman, the number 27. He's running 5th. And I think he's going to be coming down pit road relatively soon here, or he's going to get swallowed up by the field.
I'm hearing some reports over my team radio that one of the early favorites, Wayne Hufford, got some damage. Not in an accident, but maybe a checkup type of damage. He's talking about it on the team radio. So one of our early favorites might be having some repair time.
Yeah, Hubbard's back out on track. Let's take a look at his pit time. Shows 13.9 seconds in his stall after a lap 58 pit stop. We're going to keep an eye on Hubbard's trap speeds. He is in the draft here behind Strandberg and Adams, so hopefully that number 75 not driving too wounded here, but I think he's going to see very quickly Roger Hurley, the number 77, with Isaacs, Everhart, and Amasi tucked in behind, starting to close up, and we currently have, looks to be 32 drivers in the lead lap, and if I'm looking at this right, 37 still out on track, but if Hurley stays out here, I think you're about to see rather quickly a few more drivers going down a lap here at Daytona.
Yeah, the field sure is spread out now with all of those green flag stops and the different timings of which people came in. How close are we to having everybody pitted so that those early guys like Dale Copeland and Tom Ogle and Josh Robinson, those guys were safe if a caution comes out?
So you've got 1st through 17th. The last pit stop for them was around lap 33, 34, 35. I see one driver out on the track still with the lap 18 pit stop showing. That's Jack Jaggerman, the number 27, leading his second pack. He's about 8.3 seconds back from the lead, but looks like he's going to come down pit road accompanied by Lee Warsdale, but only 2 drivers coming down pit road, so that's going to be only 2 rolling back out on track. So that leaves, I mean, still I'd say majority of the field still needs to pit to be safe to make it to the end here.
Wow. So, here comes Jack Jaggerman now. I was going to say, he must be praying for a caution any minute, but now he can't wait any longer, so he comes in with Lee Worsdale.
Yeah, so those 2 are going to roll in by themselves, and Jaggerman might have messed up. He took 4 tires. Lee Warsdale in and out of his stall, 9.27. Jaggerman, 15.17 seconds. So not only was it a 2-car cycle there, Victor, but they're going to roll out on track, even those 2 kind of separated. So they're going to have to try and latch onto traffic. Robert Garisco also coming down pit road for his final stop as Hurley continues the dominant charge. That is the top 3 nose to tail with a whole lot of traffic mixed in here. Tom Massey rolling about 0.4 of a second back from the top 3. Sean Foltz now holding on to a top 5, the number 95. He is 10.6 seconds back from the top driver.
Wow, yeah, with those guys, 2 cars coming in and then getting separated, we've got 25 laps remaining. If that goes green, those guys are probably going to look to go a lap down because there's just no way they'll be losing more than a second a lap to any of these packs that are 5 to 6 cars or more.
It's going to be interesting how this season. Now, it looks like Amasi has been able to join the rest of the top drivers working that number 62 through lap traffic. Sean Foltz continues to lose time in the number 95 as he holds on to a top 5. Foltz has a lot of drivers tucked in behind, though. He's got Brian Glass, Andy Thomas, Patrick Martindale, Hastings, Dow, Wanamaker, Martin, all there in the fray. And I'm looking through the leaderboard here. Panning back to Mark Fish and Greg Hammond. They are currently battling side by side for 16th, but those are the drivers that are going to be good to go on fuel. So it's going to be about 16th through about 25th here. So about 9 drivers clustered up together. If we go green, and that's a big if here at a super speedway, but I think those could be our lead pack drivers if this keeps working out the way it is.
I really would like to see these next 16 or 17 guys, go for their green flag stops and have that all cycle through so we can really see where it's all shaking out. Because I agree with you. I don't think we're going to go green the rest of the way, but I'd like to see at least the field all have had a green flag stop so we know we're all in level playing field and what's what at that point.
Isaacs, Hurley, and Amasi must have had the broadcast pulled open. They're going to come down pit road. Titanium Everhart, he's going to stay out a little while longer. So that's going to put Sean Foltz up into the mix here. And I'm taking a look. So now it's going to be the top 9, top 10 drivers. we're expecting to see come down pit road rather soon, I would imagine. They can go about 4 or 5 more laps at most on fuel, and then we'll have our answer, Victor, who's going to be where once the pit stops have shuffled themselves out. But hey, welcome to the world of broadcasting. It's a lot of napkin math to try and predict these future positions.
Oh man, I'm nothing more than a color commentator at best. I really respect the skill that guys like you and Jeremy Mayo have for this kind of craft. It's something that takes a lot of practice, and appreciate you being here to do it for us at the OBRL.
Super cool to be back up here in the booth. Excited to see how this one's going to shake down. I mean, what better track to come back to than Daytona? For better or worse, always leads to some great moments at the OBRL. We've seen super speedway races where a lot of the field goes home early, and we've called races here either at Daytona, Talladega, hey, even Michigan sometimes when the lights are on, where it goes green the entire time. So you never quite know what you're going to get.
Yeah, I still say, even though I'm out early and up here in the booth with you, this is still the best racing in any league I've ever been a part of in my 4 years of iRacing. So I wouldn't give that up for anything. And even the wrecks I was in, heck, they're just super speedway wrecks. Just guys out there doing their best in a car that's moving all over the place, and checkups and all that stuff. So, hey, I'm having fun hanging out with you for the rest of the night. That's okay with me, but I would rather be out there driving and trying to get this win.
Yeah, no, you're right. Even here at the OBRL, even the super speedway crashes so far, as I knock on wood, haven't been the catastrophes that we would expect when drivers are going 200 miles an hour nose to tail. I mean, I think at most we had 4 or 5 drivers tagged in that second incident that you were involved in, but really nothing really crazy, I would say, for some of the super speedway shenanigans that are commonplace on iRacing, especially in the official lobbies.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They're just, honestly, with cars being that close together, you see it on TV. It just takes something very minor for 7 or 8 guys to be caught up in it. Even that second one, I had driven through the accident, essentially, and I was tagged in the right rear quarter panel, almost on my way completely through the mess.
Sometimes the draft lottery giveth, and sometimes it taketh away. Now, good to see you. Oh, we also got Courtney Nelson joining us in the spectator area. Very cool to see. Of course, our friends Mayo and Pac-Man still keeping it alive out there. And again, a question to the fans. What are you guys expecting to see? Are we going to see a big pile up by the time it's all set and over? Can we run 20 laps green here? Or what is the expectation out there tonight? Because I'm looking the top 10 or so still need to come down pit road and make it to the end on fuel. You got Roger Hurley, the number 77. We pan back there. He's got Jerry Isaacs linked up behind. Hurley came down pit road to lap 66. Isaacs also on 66. And they built up a fairly decent gap over Greg Hammond, who was one of our previous hard chargers, the number 88. Hammond's about 6 seconds behind these two. So I'm very curious to see how this one's going to work itself out.
Yeah, you know what it is, too, at a place like this, I mean, we get a full field because everybody knows that, just like in real life, it could be, just like we saw with Harrison Burton, it is anybody's game. It's anybody's time to win. So we see full fields. And as far as your question about will we see another caution, I think that's going to depend a lot on, are we seeing 3 or 4 guys up there battling for the race win that have wins in the OBRL? Or is there a mixture of guys thrown in there that have never won before? Because, hell, if I was one of them, I would probably do just about anything I could outside of wrecking a guy to take the checkers. So that leads into a lot of the moves that are made at the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see current points leader Josh Robinson pretty far down the standings. He's currently 21st out on the board here. So even accounting for the top 10 needing to pit, that still puts Robinson just outside the top 10. Now, we've got 18 laps to go, which is a long way to super speedway. Looks like our top 8 or so playing nicely. Everybody's running nose to tail. They know they have to pit one more time. They want to build up as much of an advantage as they can over 12th place and back. A lot of strategy, a lot of trust here at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, I think if this goes green and these first 10 guys have to come in and in fact do their green flag stop, and then you've got that second pack of guys like Robinson and Hufford and McDaniel and Walker and those guys who have been running up front all day, I think then you'll see a guy like Robinson be a factor at the end.
Yeah, I'd never discount any of these guys in the OBRL. I mean, and you said it spot on. A super speedway, kind of anybody's race. You just got to keep the car clean till the end. Bob, Fellenbaum, Larry, Corey, they're going to come down pit road for their final time of the evening. The rest of the top 10 drivers seem to be staying out as long as they possibly can, but we're 73 laps in. I'm doing some napkin math up here in the booth. I think these guys have got to be pretty short on fuel. If their last pit stop was on lap 34, I mean, the next lap or two at most, I'm expecting just about everybody in the top 10 to come down pit road.
Yeah, I sat in the car and I knew 40 to 41 laps, especially when you're out there in the lead like a Titanium or Sean Foltz. Those guys can't have many more laps in them.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Titanium, let me pan over here. Exactly as I thought. He has linked up a little bit of traffic, so he's able to do a little bit of fuel saving there. Patrick Martindale coming down pit road because Everhart really hasn't lost any time to the rest of the drivers in the top 10. In fact, he's gained a little bit. So that's a good spot for Everhart to be in, able to catch the back of the draft of another pack of drivers, able to do a little bit of fuel saving, and still gaining time here. Now, Everhart has tried time and again to make something happen on strategy. Unfortunately, it's not gone his way more often than it has, but he's put himself in a pretty good spot here as he is 19.4 seconds, making 19 and a half up over the rest of the field and gaining a fistful of time as he's lashed onto this group.
94 just called out his pit on driver radio, so I would assume that the 94, 74, 60, those guys are going to start flipping out of here right now.
Well, Martin in the 94, he came down pit road on his lonesome. Everybody else sought to stay out, so Martin, following the rules and announcing his intentions, avoiding one of those world-famous penalizations, but that's definitely going to hurt Martin as he ran up front very strong early on. But, man, Victor, my mind is blown. I would have not expected Everhart to find himself in a position to be gaining time on the rest of the field here. I still think he's in trouble with having to pit one more time, but able to carry way more momentum than I thought he'd be able to.
32's coming in. The thing that Titanium may be able to do, he's been doing this a long time too, so he's going to uncheck those tires and maybe take the least amount of fuel possible and hope to catch back into a bigger draft. I think that's going to be his strategy at this point.
Well, it's going to be a good one right now. Titanium's up 24 spots. John Hastings, number 33, he's up he's in the 32. He's up 33 spots as our hard charger, but Hastings, another one of those drivers we know is going to have to come down pit road to make it till the end here. And here we go. It's going to be a busy pit road, Victor. It's Foltz, Glass, Thomas, Hastings, Dow, Wanamaker, all down here together. Titanium going to be the only driver out on track with a most recent pit stop on lap 34. He is really stretching the limit here.
Wow. I'm on the edge of my seat. Heck, just to see how this one's going to end, because he's going to get mixed up in a pack of guys that really don't have to worry about that same thing. And so who's going to really dash up there? I like this Hammond, McDaniel, Walker. I think that's really going to end up being the race for the win.
Yeah, it's very interesting you say that. That is actually the pack that Everhart is linked onto here. We pan over to Greg Hammond. He's getting pushed by McDaniel's number 1 machine. Hammond's last pit stop, lap 54. McDaniel, lap 58. So they're good to go on fuel till the end here. Hammond, one of those drivers who didn't take tires, in and out of his pit stall in less than 8 seconds. McDaniel, a 14.6 second stop. And we just got word Everhart is going to come down pit road for his final stop tonight. I'm very curious to see, can Everhart get back out on track and miraculously still be with this lead pack here tonight?
I'm wondering the same thing. I don't know. He's got a lot of work to do here.
Everhart didn't take tires out of his pit stall. 8.08 seconds. Greg Hammond leading the field with McDaniel tucked in behind. You've also got Clay Walker, Mark Fish, Jerry Isaacs, Copeland, Ogle. Man, the gang is all here. So this is currently showing 2nd through 19th place in one massive pack. Everhart back out on track. Where is he going to be in relation to the rest of the field? Is he going to be able to latch onto the draft here? Because he's going to be going much, much slower than the rest of the field. Somehow, Everhart's 10 seconds ahead, but we're about to see a mass of drivers very quickly catch up to that number 71.
Yeah, and this is where it's going to come into play what I said earlier. If you're 0.8 to a second or more behind the pack, you're done. So what's going to happen is the energy that this group of 19 cars has, they're going to pass him, and he will not be able to grab on and stay within that 1 second barrier, and so he'll actually get lost.
So looks like the field heading in or through turns 1 and 2 here at Daytona. Hammond still leading this massive pack of drivers, McDaniel in tow. Looks like I can't tell if that was Jerry Isaacs. No, it wasn't Isaac. That's Hurley leading the charge up on the high side. I saw somebody hinting at 3 wide as everybody's getting tousled around there a little bit. Looks like everybody's going to hold on to it for a little while longer. Now, this is interesting. With the field already 2-3 wide, they're going to try and condense a little bit here as they catch up to Everhart, whittling away rather quickly at the 2-second gap the number 71 machine had as they cross the start-finish line. We make it 9 laps left to go here at Daytona. Hammond looking good, the number 88. He's up 26 spots. Clay Walker sitting in 4th, the number 2, up 30 positions so far here tonight. So some drivers that played it safe early on looking to be in a very good spot to try and bring it home a great result here tonight.
We've got some of those drivers up front that I was talking about that would love an OBRL win. Greg Hammond being one of them, but at 24, Brian Lindsay, the 68, Kevin Strandberg, 96, Eric McCluskey, the number 30, Gavin Adams. These are guys that they'll do a lot to win.
Who was that I saw getting pushed in the wall? I think it was Roger Hurley, as the crash is still happening there. So Hurley involved, Turner, and I think that's all the big hits I see, but let's get the replay queued up on the monitor here as Hurley's going to take a tow in the 77. That machine is done. Let's see if we can tighten in on Hurley, the number 77. It's going to happen ahead of him here. So that's the 76 getting nosed into the safety barrier. And poor Hurley never saw it coming. Just gets absolutely slammed there by Al Turner. Hurley into pit road. No brakes on the grass, though, and lawn darts himself from the outside wall in the tri-oval. So, Victor, it's about a worst-case scenario as you can get at a super speedway. We're on our 3rd caution, 8 laps left to go here. And now the elbows are going to be out for these boys. Everybody knowing it's a sprint race to the finish. How quickly is it going to be before we see some 3-wide shenanigans?
Yeah, that's probably not what anybody up front wanted to see because, well, number one, I don't think any of them are going to pit. They don't need to for tires. They don't need to for fuel. So you got to keep that track position. And, now you're going to rack them and stack them. I don't think that's going to be the last caution we see.
I think that's a safe assumption. Now, it's interesting. Everhart actually did come down pit road with a 71. Not quite sure why. Maybe he underfueled the machine and needed to do a splash and go just to a little bit of added insurance there. But unfortunately, Roger Hurley and Al Turner are both out of this race. They took a tow, so their evenings are most likely done as they put it back in the virtual hauler. That's going to leave, I believe, 27 drivers. No, 28 still out on track. No, more than that. Excuse me. Let's see here. I believe 33 drivers still out on the track. And 29 of which will be on the lead lap here. So not too bad of an attrition rate for Super Speedway as well.
Yeah, Titanium was actually mixed up in that accident. As we talked about, he was going to get gobbled up by that lead pack. He was up in the third lane, and the pack wasn't able to navigate around him. So he was actually hit by a couple of members of that pack. So that's what caused the caution. So his car was damaged. That's why he came into pit. But you're absolutely right. I mean, there's 30 guys on the lead lap about my count. So this is going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting how this one works itself out. And looking here, hard charger currently is going to be Clay Walker, the number 2, up 31 positions from his original qualifying spot here tonight. Bob Fellenbaum and I believe Everhart both going to return back out on the track, able to stay on the lead lap here. 29 drivers still on that lead lap. And it's going to be, I believe, 5 to go for this restart. Yeah, should be about right. I think it's 6 to go, so maybe 6 to go. No, 5 to go. I'm good at math here, Victor. Professional.
You are.
So it'll be 5 laps left to go on this start as we get them gridded back up double file behind the iRacing safety car, the YesterYear Racing OBRL Cup Series. And we've got the fireworks staged for the end of the race, but I think we're about to see them because normally when we see super speedway events, with about 10 laps left to go, you start seeing racers get a little bit more dicey, willing to risk a little bit more. So with a 5 to go green flag restart, it's going to be every man for himself here, I think. Elbows are out. As a reminder to the fans, drivers only have a 7 incident point limit. No fast repair, no get out of jail free card. So you hate to get to this point of the race and then leave with a damaged or busted up race car.
Oh, my team's talking on their radios. I've got 2 radios going here, James, so it's interesting, all the stuff I'm hearing.
A little bit of exciting language, maybe, from some of the flock, as the kids call them?
Well, I think the expectation from driver number 75 there in 6th place is, he's good at these races, but he's expecting more carnage as well.
Well, I mean, to give Hufford his credit, he is back up here just outside the top 5 on this restart. This caution might have helped him out a little bit here, depending on the damage to the number 75. So for a few drivers at least, this late race caution is going to be a bit of a saving grace, I would think. But cautions always breed cautions, and now that we've got the field stacked up, we get ready for that iRacing safety car. There he goes down pit road, waiting on the green flag from Barney, our flagman. And we are green flag racing once more. 5 laps left to go as they cross the line. And it is absolutely anybody's guess how this is going to shape up. You've got 28 drivers in the lead pack. Greg McDaniel going to the high side. Jerry Isaacs down low. It looks like it's going to be Greg Hammond up high as well. Now, Victor, if you were in this situation, what line would you want to be in at this point?
I'd actually want to be the 88 on that bottom line, but he did not get a good restart there. It didn't seem like he was getting enough help from behind. The 1 and the 51 got out ahead. That's going to allow the 1 to eventually pull down in front and abandon the 51. The top line gets a great run during the race, but it stalls out. So I'd rather be the 88 in that bottom line coming to the end.
So up front, that's Greg McDaniel up on the high side. The number 1 leading up top, Jerry Isaacs. Down low in the 51, you've got Wayne Hufford, Clay Walker, Tom Ogle come out of nowhere. As we've got somebody down on the apron, I didn't see. Oh, he almost came back up into traffic. Glad that one didn't work out. So Greg McDaniel up front, getting a big hearty shove from Jerry Isaacs. And I just spotted, there's Wayne Hufford back in the number 3 spot. He's also the inside line. Tom Ogle up top, the number 11 leading the outside line, but he's getting no support here. Hufford staying glued to the inside line. Hammond and Walker hinting at moving up to the middle groove, but not seeing the support they were looking for. Ogle still hanging out there, the number 11, but he is getting swallowed up by the rest of the field. 3 laps left to go here at Daytona. Greg McDaniel looking good. Jerry Isaacs, Wayne Hufford all in line. Looks like a big run there from Greg Hammond sitting in 4th, accompanied by Clay Walker. But it's going to be a little bit of a 5-car breakaway as Ogle finds himself busy with Brian Lindsay battling for 6. But oh, we've got bumping and grinding here. Hammond gets pushed out of the mix. That's going to be a 3-car breakaway for the time being. McDaniel, Isaacs, Hufford up 3/4 of a second. Brian Lindsay sitting back in 4th. I think they still have time here, but Lindsay really needs Ogle and Strandberg to get up there and get that momentum going because the top 3 actually pulling away at this point.
Yeah, that's some bumping that went wrong there in the back, so that cleared out the pack, and now this is going to be with only coming to 2 to go. I don't think that pack will catch those 3 if they stay in line until the last turn. But if Lindsay, Ogle, and Strandberg can stay in line and catch them, then we'll have some real fireworks coming to the line.
So we get ready to unfurl the white flag here at the YesterYear Racing OBRL Cup Series. You're watching your top 3, McDaniel, Isaacs, and Hufford. They had over a 1-second gap over the rest of the field at some point. Brian Lindsay trying to get everybody formed up behind them, but if they don't get it sorted quickly, it's going to be a battle for 4th. White flag is out here at Daytona. Now McDaniel, Isaacs, and Hufford, absolute pros at oval racing. They're not going to hop out of formation until the very end. They'd rather it be a 3-car shootout than a 20-car battle here. Lindsay closing up behind now 3/4 of a second, but they're going to run out of time. As McDaniel looking very, very good here. The number 1 as Isaacs and Hufford tucked in behind. They're crashing behind him. Oh, and it's going to be a big one, Victor. This is going to be a give me for the top 3. Lindsay closing up behind, but it's too little too late. Greg McDaniel leads the field to the line. Checkered flag is out. Greg McDaniel picks up the win here at Daytona. Jerry Isaacs 2nd, and Wayne Hufford rounds out the top 3.
Wow, those guys did exactly what they needed to do if they wanted to protect their own finish, which was to stay in line and not do anything crazy to break up that momentum, and that allowed the wrecks to happen behind them, and they held their podium finishes.
Yep, kept their nose out of the shenanigans. Bit of a blinking there, very odd. So we're going to focus in on Greg Hammond. He gets tagged by the Mountain Dew backed, and I think it's not Everhart anymore. That's the number 17 of Larry Corey, and drivers just getting absolutely smashed behind. So that's going to be the big one here at Daytona, as a whole lot of drivers
it's like
caught
Robinson
up in
was
Yep, Robinson
caught up
involved.
in that, wasn't he?
It's Hammond, Lynch, Jaggerman, Adams, Robinson. I believe that's going to be the high-level report of drivers going home with a sour taste in their mouth. And Greg McDaniel, after the podium celebration, is going to burn it down here, as we're going to work on getting our top 3 drivers up here to victory lane.
It was a pleasure to hang out with you, James. I'm going to head out of the booth and let you do your interviews, and appreciate all you do here for Team Goon Squad and the OBRL.
Well, Victor, thanks for joining us, man. Super cool to have somebody else in the booth. Glad to get the inside view from the world's famous color commentator, and hope you got that 2-factor going, my friend, and hopefully we'll have you back up here more often.
Well, I enjoyed it. I hope not to be back up here too often as a result of wrecking out, though.
All right,
I'll leave it to the pros.
Thank you, sir. And that was Victor Lane joining us, league owner, admin, and all-around pretty swell guy here at the OBRL. Greg McDaniel's going to blow up the race car and a little bit of celebratory burnout shenanigans. He paid for all the engines. He's going to use all the engines as we're going to try and get these drivers up here into the booth. We're waiting on Wayne Hufford to join. There we go. We've got Hufford join us in the green room. So let's start things off with Mr. Wayne Hufford. Join us. Wayne, it looked like you were running so well, so clean, consistently, second, third on the inside line, involved in some shenanigans, but still able to pull it out here at the end.
Yeah, dude, I have no idea what happened. There was a pack, and then all of a sudden, the three of us were just gone. I don't know what happened behind us.
They ran out of talent.
That's unusual.
Well, Wayne, super cool to have you back up here in the race. I know talking to Victor, who joined me in the booth, that you kind of were thinking the night was done, but when that late race caution came out, did you kind of start thinking to yourself, you know what, I still got a good chance of a good result here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the right before my last pit stop, there was just a gigantic checkup in front of Martinson and ahead of me, and we made contact, so I was carrying damage the whole rest of the way. Caught back up with the pack, but we were I was 13th or something. And the way that wreck happened, I'm 6th in that final one. So I'm thinking, okay, well, we might be able to pull something off here.
Well, super cool to see you make it happen. Glad to have that number 75 machine join us once again for an interview. And Wayne, before I let you go and do a post-race debrief of this one, who do you want to give a shout to that helps make a third place possible for you this evening?
Oh, we got to thank the sponsor, Miniobi. Thank the guys at VLS. If nothing else, there was some good banter in there. And then, thank Victor for putting this on after the week he went through. I don't know if people know about it, but I'll let him say it if he does. But thanks, guys.
Awesome, Wayne. A pleasure, buddy. Good to have you back up here, and hopefully we'll have you back up here in the following weeks as well.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Good to see you back, too.
Thank you, sir. That was Wayne Hufford. Join us in the third place spot. Up next, we got Jerry Isaacs, the number 51. Jerry able to keep that 51 machine relatively clean all night. And you top three drivers working together left the carnage behind you in a relatively clean finish here at Daytona.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and check that out. We were hauling the mail there, and I heard there was a little excitement in the back.
Yeah, it's Daytona. You can't leave without a certain quota of wadded up race cars, I think.
I think that's absolutely right.
Well, Jerry, what were you thinking when that final caution came out? Did you think it was going to be a green-white checker meat grinder, or were you optimistic of finishing without seeing that yellow flag once more?
Normally I would think it was a meat grinder, absolutely, but not with this group. This group's really clean. I figured we would probably go green.
Well, I'm glad it was. Now, Jerry, did the cautions tonight really change your strategy, your planning at all, or was you just taking it as it came?
No, I was taking it as I came, and we had myself and Hurley and a couple others we were rocking and rolling somewhere around mid-race, and we caught the pack and called out, let's pit, and Hurley and I pit, and there were others that said they would, and apparently they didn't. But, we came out 10 seconds in front of our pit strategy pack, but there were only two of us. So we didn't, that was my only strategy in terms of the race was at that one point when I knew we were hauling the mail and caught the big pack, I didn't want to get slowed up. So pit then for the last pit and tried to get a group out that really could just fly.
Well, it seemed like it worked out very well for you. Super cool to watch you guys run so well. And Jerry, before I let you go and unwind from this one, who do you want to give a shout to that helped make it happen?
Oh man, the YesterYear Racing. If you haven't checked it out, go to YouTube and do a search. Doing a great series. It's a lot of fun. Thank them for sponsoring. Of course, OBRL for putting on the league. You guys for putting on a broadcast. Thank the Mad Sim Racing guys and Cody Richardson for spotting for me. Last and not least, thanks. Hi, Mom.
Jerry, always a pleasure, buddy. Good to have you back up here in the booth, and hope to see that 51 machine up here more throughout the rest of the season.
Hey, thanks. Good to see you back. Hope to talk to you again.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That was Jerry Isaacs joining us in the second place spot. But up next, the man, the myth, the bowling legend, Greg McDaniel. Welcome back to the top spot. The number one looking clean, 22 spots gained, and a hell of a 3-car breakaway here at the end.
Well, thanks, James. Welcome back to you too, by the way. Unexpected first win of the season, and you're back for it. So that makes me very happy.
I'm not saying it was planned, but $20 is $20, Greg.
That's true.
So, Greg, you started kind of in the meat grinder, that 23rd position, able to work your way up. At one point, did you start thinking, hey, I'd rather be at the front of this thing and kind of keep my nose clean and try and get a little bit of a breakaway with the rest of the guys?
It's always that way here. At Talladega, I don't know. I feel better at Talladega than here, so I don't mind being in the back. But here, I don't want to be in the back at all. And I can usually qualify decent at Talladega, and for some reason I don't here. And so all races. My advice to you is be as far up front as you can, because usually the carnage doesn't happen at the front. I don't know, fifth of the field. So I wanted to get up front as quick as I could, and luckily all my teammates got up there. And for a long time, it was all the 4 cars on the inside line were LDR cars. And then after the green flag pit stop, we lost Brian and Kevin, but Clay and I were still there, and Hammond got in front of us, and we were just pushing Hammond for all it was worth. And unfortunately, I have no idea what happened on that last caution. And I was able to, all my teammates were down behind Greg, and I looked at the standings. I knew that every 4 cars back in my lane was a really good drafter and pusher, and so I knew I couldn't drop down. And then right after I was talking to my team about that, Jerry Isaacs got on the radio with me and said, "I'm with you till the end, Greg." And I pretty much, unless something really bad happened, knew I had it won then, because Jerry's a great pusher and knows how to do this bugging stuff. So that's my long story, James.
Well, no, it was spot on. You've encapsulated the tonight's activities perfectly, I would say. And Greg, did you come into tonight with any certain pit strategy, or were you just kind of letting it all develop as it happened out here on the high banks of Daytona?
Start of the race, we knew it was going to be, you couldn't make it on one. We knew it was going to be a 2-stop race. And then after the first caution came out, luckily it went 18 or 19 laps before we had a caution. We knew it was a 1-stopper then, so we all went in. And then the caution after that, we knew we couldn't make it, so we stayed out. And as it turned out, we had to have a green flag pit stop there at the end. And unfortunately, Clay and I lost our other 2 teammates in the pits. And but it turned out to be a good race. It sounds like there were a couple big wrecks there at the end, and that's unfortunate for a lot of people and our race, because up until then, it was a really good, clean, fun, exciting race.
Well, Greg, you guys put on a great show. Super cool to see that number one in the top spot leaving Daytona. And now, my friend, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that helped bring home the win here?
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to my high school friend Dave back in Oregon, where I used to live. And I'm going to text him as soon as we're done here and let him know that this will be out there, because he's been pretty disappointed he hasn't been able to watch these lately. So shout out to Dave. Shout out to my girlfriend Sharon. I want to thank our league sponsors, Top Flight Computers, Victory Lane Sports, Butt Kicker, and the sponsor of this series, YesterYear Racing. I want to thank all the admins that do a great job in this league. If Dwayne's watching or listening, miss you, buddy. Hope you get back out here someday. And last and not least, thanks to you. I hope we'll still see more of you. If not broadcasting, I just caught the end of you talking in the driver's meeting, because I had to get up for a second. When I came back and heard you talking, I assumed you were racing with us. So so maybe we'll get to do that.
Still got a couple years, but I have been formally invited by the OBRL admins to choose a triple digit. So we might see something soon here, Greg.
Well, I know you raced that one time with us, and you did a fine job then. I'm sure you're a good racer. So, but I like watching these. So the more you can do, that would be great.
Awesome, Greg. Couldn't do it without you guys out on track. Again, a huge congratulations, the first one of the season. Hopefully one, many more to come in the back half of the year, and super proud of you. Super pumped to have you back up here, bud.
Thanks, James. Same could be said for you in the booth.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, have a good night.
You too, bud. And that was Greg McDaniel joining us in the top spot here at Daytona. He was accompanied by Jerry Isaacs in second and Wayne Hufford rounding out the top three. On behalf of the Old Bastards Racing League at oldbastardsracing.com, yes, they have a website. The YesterYear Racing Cup Series, Victory Lane Sports, Top Flight Computers, and Butt Kicker. My name has been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Sunday night with us, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.